Good morning, students. How are you all? Hope you grasped the first chapter completely. Now we are here to discuss the second chapter that is somehow relates with our first chapter. In that chapter, we discussed about the lithosphere, that is the land portion. Lithosphere, you remember, is the land portion. So here in this chapter, we are inside our earth. We are going to discuss the layer of lithosphere and rocks and minerals in a great detail. So let us start. Earth, we all know, a small planet, and it came into existence about 5 billion years ago. In present scenario, number of activities are going on this planet, but in the beginning it is considered as a hottest planet with 5000 degrees Celsius temperature. It is the highest temperature, and slowly the temperature of earth gets lower down and made a place for a perfect survival. After getting the lower down of temperature, the earth make a place for a survival of living being. Earth is made up of different kind of rocks, and it is divided into different layer, that is crust. As we discussed the land portion, it is divided into three parts. The first one is crust, the uppermost layer, the second one is mantle, and the third one is core. We have already discussed all these components of land portion in our previous chapter in the part of lithosphere. But now in this chapter we are going to discuss all these three components in the structure of earth in a great detail. But before starting that, look at this extract. Similarly, the extract is given there. You just have to take a reading of that extract, and after complete down your reading, you have to read the following question and solve them. What is magnetosphere? The earth is like a big magnet which pulls at the top and the bottom of the planet. The magnetic field uh, is projected from the surface of the earth to the thousand of kilometer onwards. This region is called magnetosphere. The second one is, what will happen in the absence of this sphere? What will happen if this sphere is not available? The particles from the sun, solar wind would hit the earth directly and exposing the surface of the planet to the significant amount of radiation. And the third one is, according to the scientists, how is magnetic field created? Scientists think that magnetic field is generated by the molten outer core of the earth, and where the heat that escape creates a connection current, the generation electricity current in the conductive material of its core that create a magnetic field. So here the questions are given. You just have to read the extract and find out the question from in between the extract. Now moving further, now we are going to discuss about the structure of earth in a great detail. There are three layers of the earth. The upper layer is known as crust, the center layer is known as mantle, and the third layer is known as outer core or inner core, or we can able to say it collectively core. So the first component is crust. As I said, the crust is an outermost layer. So when you have this kind of outermost layer that is visible on the earth's surface, which includes the mountain, plateaus and plains, as we all know that at the upper part or the part where we all are living, the mountain, plateaus and everything is existed there. Now further, the crust can be further divided into two parts. The first one is the continental crust and another one is the oceanic crust. So now what is continental crust? Now the biggest thing is that the thickness of crust is not uniform. It depends. The continent has much more thicker than the ocean. The thickness of continent is 50 kilometer deep. On the contrary, if we talk about the ocean, it's just around 6 kilometer thick. And if we talk about the components, the continental crust is made up of silica and aluminium together. It is known as Sial. And on the contrary, if we talk about the oceanic crust, it is only made up of Sima. So however, we discussed as 50 kilometer and 6 kilometers, still crust is considered to be the thinnest layer, to be the smallest or thinnest layer or thickest layer among all the three layers, that is crust, mantle and core. Now we are going to start with our next part, that is mantle. It is mainly made up of iron and magnesium, and its thickness is about 2900 kilometer. It has a high temperature, and magma is found in this layer. Now what is magma? Magma is a main volume of volcanic activities, and that is the reason volcanic activities definitely consist of high temperature, and that is the only reason that it has an high temperature. The first we discussed is about crust is not uniform, and about 50 kilometer deep it's on the continental crust, and further 6 kilometer deep is on oceanic crust. And moving further, we have discussed about mantle. Mantle is made of iron and magnesium, and its thickness is about 2900 kilometer, and in the mainly the magma, a volcanic activity, a main volcanic volume we can be able to say is found at the mantle. Moving further, the third one is core. Core is composed of knife. Here Ni stands for the nickel and Fi stands for the iron. It is further divided into two parts. The first one is the inner core and the outer core. As you look in this picture, the above side, the first layer is of crust, the center part is of mantle. Same is, we all are talking about our earth, the inner earth. So first layer where we all are living is crust. Below that layer we found a mantle, and below that we found an upper core, and after that we found an inner core. So inner core always remains solid. On the contrary, the outer core is quite molten. Now we have talked about the earth and the interior. Let us move about the rocks and how they form. But before starting this, read this question. What is the continental crust made up of? We have already discussed that continental crust are made up of two layers. The upper layer is called silica and aluminium, that is Sial, while the lower layer is called Sima, made up of silica and magnesium. Which metal are found in the mantle? Iron and magnesiums are mainly found in the mantle. We have already discussed here. And the third one is, what is the innermost part of the earth called? Innermost part we have already seen in the picture. The innermost part is of core. So what is it called? It is called as a core. So now moving further, we are going to discuss about rocks and minerals. Rocks are present in the earth crust. Moreover, rocks are formed when the mineral particles collect together in a solid form. When all the mineral particles collectively collect together and they make a solid mass, and it is further make a rock. Now rocks are mainly of two types. The first one is hard. It consists of like marble, granite, sandstone. You have observed all such kind of things. That is known as hard rocks. And some rocks are also there which you use while which a teacher is being used in the classroom, like chalk. Chalk is also considered as a rock, but it is considered as a soft rock. And moving further, what is mineral? Minerals are naturally occur inorganic substance with a definite chemical composition. A definite chemical composition must be there. They substance got naturally occurs. Now this all minerals and rocks can be classified into three types: the texture of the rock, the size of the rock, and the color of the rock. Now we are going to discuss about the composition of rocks on, or we can able to say the types of rocks. There are three types of rock. The first one is igneous rock, second one is sedimentary rock, and the third one is metamorphic rock. So what is igneous rock? The word igneous is derived from the Latin word that is igneous, means fire. Fire represents to the volcanic activities. Always remember that volcanic activities are related with the fire. So this igneous rock is result of volcanic activities. They are also known as a primary rocks. Most of the other rocks are directly or indirectly formed by them. Many rocks are mainly formed by the igneous rocks. These rocks are further divided into two types. The first one is extrinsic and the second one is intrinsic. Extrinsic represents to the outer part and intrinsic represents to the inner part. So the common example for that is extrinsic rock is basalt and intrinsic is granite that we found inside the earth. Now moving further, we are going to discuss about the sedimentary rocks. Now what happens when you have particles which flows on with the rivers, or when you say there is a wave action or a wind action, you have a small depositions that occurs sandstones, a small particles that came along with the sand, and that sand particles make a sedimentary rock. Sedimentary rock is mainly found a rock that we got from the sand. It is mainly found mostly in the red fort example. The red stone was there, and since it is following that why it includes the different kind of fossils. The sandstones, limestones, clay, shales, coal, all such kind of rocks is considered as an sedimentary rocks. The rocks which we get from the water, which the deposition of some kind of material which came with the sand particle which came with the water is make a sedimentary rock. Moving further, now we are going to discuss about the metamorphic rocks. Now when both the igneous and sedimentary rocks under the high temperature they compressed and results to the formation of metamorphic rocks. When both sedimentary rocks and igneous rocks heat under a high temperature and got a lot of heat, and they changed its forms and make a metamorphic rocks, or we can say that metamorphic rock is a resultant from either igneous rock or sedimentary rocks. So what are the main examples which came under this is marble, slate, all such kind of examples came under the sedimentary rocks. Hope you all are clear with the igneous rocks, sedimentary rocks and metamorphic rock. Igneous rocks is primary rock and all the other rocks are mainly formed from this. After that, sedimentary rocks are those rocks which came with the water, the sand particle that came with the water and make a form of rock. That rock is known as sedimentary rock. And moving further, when igneous rock or sedimentary rock modified at a high temperature, it formed a metamorphic rock. Now all three rocks we have discussed make a cycle. And what is that cycle? So before starting that, you need to look out this. List the name of 5 precious stone: agate, moonstone, opal, bloodstone, cat eye. On the contrary, the stone names are also given here. You can check out from here as well. Why are the some metals precious? Because definitely some metals are precious because they are rarely found in nature, and they have a high economic value. Now what is economic value? The economic value is always related with the money. They have to pay a high amount of money while purchasing such kind of metals. That's why they are considered as a precious one. Now we are going to discuss about the rock cycle. So what happens in the rock cycle is that, look at this picture. You see here the volcano is further erupted and make a metamorphic rock, and metamorphic rock is further converted after heating or cooling down into the igneous, and igneous rock, when we get a high temperature or a greater temperature, they both metamorphic and igneous rock together again make a sedimentary rock. That's why the whole circle is being going on. So what is rock cycle? The transformation of rock from one form into another in a cyclic manner is a rock cycle. As we discussed in the table as well, igneous rock is a primary rock and all other forms of rocks we got from this. And if we talk about metamorphic rock, when the metamorphic rock got a high temperature, the igneous rock or any of the sedimentary rock or igneous rock change its form and make a metamorphic rock. Somehow each and everything is interlinked and goes on. So, what are the main uses of rocks and mineral? Definitely, rocks such as marble, granite, sands, limestones are used for the construction of buildings and road. We can able to make buildings and road from such kind of rocks or minerals. Mineral like coal and petroleum provide us power and energy. What is power? Power is actually related with an electricity, so we can able to get the power and electricity, we can say, and energy from the such kind of fossil fuels. So further moving, soil for agriculture is formed from the rocks. That is definitely right. Edible salts like rock salts are minerals. Rocks are the source of chemical, for example potash, phosphorus are the found in the sedimentary rocks. So now what are minerals, as we discussed here? So, minerals are natural occurring inorganic substance with a defined chemical composition. Why are igneous rocks also called the primary rocks? Igneous rocks are also called the primary rocks, as all the others rocks are directly or indirectly formed from them. The third one we are going to discuss, give two uses of rocks. Uses of rocks and mineral we have discussed up. You just take any of two of your choice and write it down. What is rock cycle? So what is rock cycle? The transformation of rock from one form into the another in a cyclic manner is a rock cycle. Moving further, which this picture depicts? This picture definitely depicts about the rock cycle. They are showing that the igneous rock are further making a magma, and magma is further melting down and making a metamorphic rock, and further from the metamorphic rock we are getting the sedimentary rocks, and together we all are the circle is moving on. So definitely it shows the rock cycle. How a metamorphic rock formed? So how metamorphic rock formed? Excessive heat and pressure inside the earth caused sedimentary and indigenous rock to change into a metamorphic rock. When the excess heat will be there, it will be changed into a metamorphic rock. And moving further, they discuss the process of formation of igneous rock. So now what is the process of formation of the igneous rock? When the molten magma reaches to the earth's surface through the cracks and receives, it cools and solidified below or above the surface of the earth, forming an igneous rock. And I think we have left with the third question, which rock are formed due to the weathering, transportation and deposition of igneous rock? Igneous rocks are formed by the cooling and solidification of magma or lava. Hope you got the chapter very well. So now your homework is that you have to complete the exercise after reading the chapter completely. Firstly, read the chapter by yourself completely. It is quite difficult chapter, so you have to take a proper attention while reading it. Read the chapter thoroughly by yourself, and after that read the exercise which is given at the end of the chapter, and try to solve the exercise by yourself without taking the help of any other person.